The Grizzlies had one of the under-the-radar savviest offseasons of all teams in the NBA. And that is largely because they might have acquired the steal of the offseason.
Hero getting the switch, and Jerome knocks this down.
Are you kidding? Excellent defense. Hero trying to stay in front of Jerome. Unbelievable. Ty Jerome.
Ty Jerome.
Last year, a young Grizzlies team won 48 games and made the playoffs before getting swept by the Thunder in the first round. While the result was unideal, they did have a lot to be optimistic about. Jalen Wells and Zach Edey both finished top 5 in Rookie of the Year voting, and their big three, consisting of John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Desmond Bane, were all just reaching the primes of their career. However, in one of the most surprising moves of the offseason, the Grizzlies traded Bane to the Orlando Magic for Kendavious Caldwell-Pope and 4 unprotected first-round picks. Though losing a 26-year-old borderline all-star player might feel like a step in the wrong direction, the truth is that the cap space they saved and the draft picks they gained will get them tons of optionality moving into the future. The Grizzlies also let Luke Kennard go to free agency, where he signed with Atlanta, one of the most reliable three-point shooters in the league. They did sign Ty Jerome though, an incredibly underrated player who just had low-key an unbelievable season in limited minutes for Cleveland last year. There is so much to love about what Jerome brings to the table. Last season, the 6'5" shooting guard was one of the most masterful offensive weapons in the entire league in his limited minutes. At first glance, his stats don't really stand out. 12.5 points, 3.4 assists, and 2.5 rebounds per game doesn't really scream impact player. But considering that he came off the bench behind Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, 2 All-Stars, and looking at his efficiency within those limited minutes, you can begin to realize just how good Ty Jerome was. For instance, if you look at Jerome's stats on a per-36 basis, they look like that of a potential All-Star, nearly 23 points and 6 assists per game, while also shooting 43.9% from 3. Amongst all players who attempted at least 3 3-pointers per game last season, Jerome was the 3rd most accurate behind Zach LaVine and Taurean Prince. In fact, there were only 8 players last season that averaged over 20 points and 6 assists per 36 minutes while also shooting at least 38% from 3. All the players that did so are all-stars, champions, or guys that are earning $40 million per year in salary. And Ty Jerome, who is set to make about $9 million per season for the next couple years in Memphis. But Ty Jerome is far more than just a 3-point shooter. He has an incredibly well-rounded and versatile offensive game, a true 3-level scorer. Jerome was equally dangerous with the ball in his hand as a primary creator as he was as an off-ball shooter. Last season, there were only 5 players in the league that shot at least 43% in both pull-ups and on catch and shoots while averaging at least 10 points per game. Amongst them, only Kevin Durant and SGA were more efficient than Ty Jerome on pull-ups, while KD and Nikola Vucevic were more accurate in catch-and-shoot situations. Remarkable. Though many of these buckets did come on 3-point looks, Jerome was also mightily impressive in the mid-range games and on drives to the basket. One area where he surprised this season was his in-between game, specifically in the 10 to 16-foot range. Some of Jerome's buckets in this range are a little unorthodox and crafty, some jumpers and floaters. But what is undeniable is his underrated touch. To explain this, we made this chart of the 10 most efficient scorers from 10 to 16 feet from the bucket during the 2024-25 season. In order to qualify, players had to have at least 100 attempts through the season. The first thing you'll recognize is the level of talent that Ty Jerome played himself alongside. All the players listed aside from Jerome are all-stars, some of the most talented players in the world. The further the player is to the right of the chart, the more frequently the players shot from this distance, as a percentage of their total field goal attempts. Jerome placed 7th out of 10 last year in frequency, taking just under 17% of his shots from said range, 18th in the NBA. The higher up the player is on the chart, the more accurate they were, and that's where Jerome scored off the charts. With a field goal percentage of .577, Jerome was the most accurate player in the league with at least 100 attempts. Beyond that, Jerome also finished 7th in the NBA in field goal percentage when driving to the basket amongst players that averaged at least 8 drives per game, once again placing himself alongside impressive company. He also finished the season ranked in the 87th percentile amongst ball handlers in pick and rolls, There is absolutely no doubt that in his limited minutes, Ty Jerome was spectacular last year for the Cavs. Now that you can understand the versatility he's capable of bringing on offense, let's take a look at how he can fit in defensively. As mentioned, Ty Jerome is 6'5", far from short for a player at his position. And despite the fact that he lacks elite athleticism, he is also more than capable on the defensive end of the court. In college, Ty Jerome played at the University of Virginia for Coach Tony Bennett, a program that was acclaimed for consistently playing the best defense in the country. And Jerome was a star there, helping lead the team to a national championship in 2019. So he entered the league with some defensive pedigree, and a lot of numbers match up. Last season, Ty Jerome was one of the league leaders in terms of deflections per 36 minutes, and he also averaged a career-high 2 steals per 36 minutes of play. But he wasn't just jumping passing lanes. In fact, when guarding the perimeter, Ty Jerome held his opponents to lower field goal percentages than either Desmond Bane or Luke Kennard did last year for Memphis. Interestingly, KCP, another shooting guard that was brought back in the Bane deal, comes with a bunch of defensive pedigree as well. Though he is coming off a disappointing season for Orlando, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope won championships as the starting shooting guard for both the Lakers in the bubble and the Nuggets in 2023. The numbers indicate that both KCP and Jerome were better than Bane and Kennard were in terms of opponents' field goal percentage in most ranges, and particularly when guarding the perimeter. We're not trying to argue that Memphis got better after losing Desmond Bane. Bane is a proven two-way, three-level scorer that has played a huge role for Memphis for a number of years. But it is possible that Memphis won't take as big a step backwards as some analysts are projecting, especially if other young pieces on their roster progress in their development. And beyond that, they freed up around $20 million in cap space and added 4 unprotected first-rounders to their cupboard. Economically speaking, the Memphis Grizzlies have set themselves up nicely moving forward. And if Ty Jerome is anywhere close to as good as he was last year for Cleveland, he could quietly become one of the best pickups of the entire offseason. But we want to know what you guys think. Will the Grizzlies take a step backward? Or is the franchise still headed in the right direction? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.